everybody, Barama was good inside, I thought. Marek, they both did a really good job defensively inside when they tried to go in there, and we guarded the perimeter really, really well. Bucknell is a pretty good basketball team. They'll be in the hunt at the end of the year for the NCAA tournament. We just played great, made shots, and they couldn't. We stopped them from getting shots, but then they missed some when they had opportunities. Well, I think Quincy and Bryson, we're trying to get those two guys ready. That's important. I think those are two guys I'm most concerned with, and but we'll see how we go moving ahead. But Jesse gets overpowered in there a lot, but he's just got to get strong. He's got a good instincts for the game, especially on offense, and he's long.
3 or 4 games into Joe starting at point guard, what are you seeing from him, and what does he need to improve on?
He's been steady, very, very steady. Good decisions. His defense has been good. He's rebounding out of our zone for the most part. Not tonight, but he has been. And his assist to turnovers are pretty consistent. He's been very solid, very solid. He's a freshman. He's got a lot to learn, but he knows how to play. Your point is, I understand your question. You're wrong.
Are you a fan of the show Entourage?
Don't devaluate a guy like Frank Howard. He's a good player.
I wasn't.
Well, you said better than any point guard.
I said more offensively, but I didn't say who was better or worse.
Frank Howard was a good player. That's all I
agree.
can tell you. Look, I'm not in this for you to agree with me. Okay? I'll answer the question, okay?
A very, very good football team. They deserve exactly where they're at. Defense made enough plays for them to win the game. Their special teams put them in situations where they could be explosive, and they did some really nice things, and some of the things that we tried to do against them. And then their offense is just outstanding, extremely explosive with dynamic personnel.
Why did you decide to put Clayton in for Tommy on that 4th and 9?
He had been taking some hits, and he wasn't 100% out there, and I didn't want him to be trying to do certain things where he wasn't full go. We needed quarterback's legs. We wanted to do some things with the run game, and the throws that we had to make, Clayton could make them. Tommy did enough, so we took him out.
It was your decision? It's not like he was uncleared by the medical staff?
It was my decision.
Was there something in that 3rd and 9 play before you made the quarterback switch that you saw? Did Tommy take a hard hit on that play, or?
It was in the first half, Stephen, that he got hurt. And I don't want to tell everybody what the injury is because he has one more game.
Welcome to the Cuse Militia Podcast with those two unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
What's up, Cuse Nation? Thanks for tuning into the Cuse Militia Podcast with Sean and Joe. If you like it, please share it. The universal handle for the socials is at Cuse Militia. Go there. Join the militia. We are the only Syracuse sports podcast centered on giving you, the fans, a voice. Welcome. Happy Sunday evening, everybody.
Happy.
We went 1-1 Saturday. The big one keeping the bowl hopes alive didn't happen. But the Orange did put a 97-46 hurting on Bucknell. They advanced to 4-1, 0-1 in the ACC. And Syracuse football team, they've got one game left. So we'll go over the 56-34 loss to Louisville. But before we get into all that, it's time to hear from the good folks over at Manscaped.com. This is Joe's favorite read. This is Joe's favorite sponsor, the Sasquatch.
Oh, okay.
Lance Joseph.
Stop it.
Here it is. All right, look. It is No Shave November. That does not mean you don't take care of yourself below the belt. Grooming is important. It's important. You don't want to be a slouch, a bum, a scrub. Don't do that. Use Manscaped.com. We've got an offer right now for our listeners. You get 20% off and free shipping if you use the promo code armchair at manscaped.com. They have the Lawnmower 2.0. It's got the skin-safe technology so the trimmer won't nick or snag no more accidents. And this trimmer is also rechargeable and waterproof. Use it right in the shower. It's great. So, anyway, and by the way, use that trimmer there where it counts, and only there. But keep your face trimmer, your beard trimmer, in the face and beard trimmer drawer. Keep this one in the below the belt drawer. So, it comes with the crop preserver. It comes with the double-sided razor. It's called the Plow. It comes with the moisturizer, the ball deodorant. It comes with the body wash. It comes with the cologne, which is fantastic. And it comes with, there's something else I'm missing. But there is something else in there. And also, it comes with a toiletry bag. It all fits right in there. Nice little kit. Go to manscaped.com. Enter the promo code armchair. Get 20% off and free shipping. Use the right tools for the job. Manscaped.com. All right. Thank you, Manscaped.com. All right, Joe. What do you happen to be doing right now? Joe's traveling. He doesn't usually walk around his place with the, while we're doing a show, but he must have an emergency right now. So
No, I'm good.
No, okay, all right.
False alarm.
I didn't know what was going on there. You confused me. Syracuse put the pedal down from the start and never let up. An 8-0 run and a 10-0 run in the first half helped shape a 51-26 lead heading into halftime. It was huge. I could not believe it. It's almost like a final score. An undeniable difference in this year's team, besides being fun to watch, is the ball movement, Joe. Last year, their assisting percentage was around 50%, and they ranked 223rd in the country. This year, right now, so far, after 5 games, they are above 65%, and they're ranked 10th in the country. Huge, huge difference. And obviously, they'll need that kind of team effort to continue as we approach conference play. Joe Girard, 12 points and 6 assists. Hughes finished with 21 points, 5 assists, and 6 rebounds. Buddy with a career high, 22 points. He hit 6 threes. The Orange played up-tempo nearly the entire game, helping force 23 Bucknell turnovers. They scored 37 points off of those alone, and they out-rebounded the Bison 44-32. Joe, yeah, it's Bucknell. Yeah. It's Bucknell, right? I mean, whatever. But let's take away the positives as we know them. Looking forward, Oklahoma State obviously will be probably the best gauge of the year. We will go over that game probably Monday evening. We'll do that show. But this Bucknell team is better than a 97-46 butt whooping, I would have to think.
Yeah. Most teams I feel are, but like Jim Boeheim said in his press conference that again we played out of our minds and they played the worst, about as bad as they can play. So when you look at just the team stats, when we shoot 56% from field goals and 48% from the 3 line, like you said, I mean between Elijah Hughes and Buddy Boeheim, they went 11-18 from the 3-point line. Made 9 of 11 free throws, like you said, out-rebounded them by 12. But then I look at 25 assists. I mean, that's a huge number that if you remember last year, that number really wasn't always big.
No, it was big a couple games, and that was it.
Yeah, to see 25 assists, obviously we know that we move the ball around well to set up the shooters for their shots as far as 3-pointers. But again, like you said, we had a lot of fast break points and points off turnovers and things like that. So and then with the 14 steals, 13 blocks, like you said, it's just a lot. I mean, we just overwhelmed them and we just kept going and we just couldn't miss. And it's always fun to watch those games, but
it was a blast to watch. And it's
I just hope that people don't lose perspective or expectation just over one game. That's just
obviously not. Like I said, I think heading into Oklahoma State, that's going to be the best gauge of the season. I think that's the fairest way to look at that game, I think. And
I think this next stretch is important.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oklahoma State, and then we got the winner of Iowa.
No, Penn State.
Mississippi, Penn State. That's right. So
then we have Iowa, then Georgia Tech, then Georgetown. And so we got 5 games in a row against Power 5 or tournament level teams. So definitely going to be an interesting little 5-game stretch. I think that this gauge again, I think is very important towards
Teamwork and just cohesion.
Well, teamwork and looking at the non-conference schedule, and again, it's a little bit different. So it's going to be a different year when we look at the bubble because, again, we're going to have 20 conference games, so that could help overall for strength of schedule. There's 2 less non-conference games, so again, how many non-conference game wins you can get kind of gauges how many conference games wins you need to kind of get to that magic number of 20, that they like to say. So,
right.
Again, these next 5 are going to tell us a lot about our team, but also that's important for our growth as well. We can't just play a bunch of cupcakes and then run into ACC play. So,
yeah, well, that's what this little trip to New York City is going to be all about, and then coming out of there and playing at Georgetown. Georgetown played Duke pretty good for about 3/4 of that game the other night. So we've been slowly watching them get better, unfortunately. So. But they have the past couple of years. They've gotten a little bit better every year. So they've gotten experience.
Yeah, Patrick Ewing looks like he's getting those guys going. Yeah.
So anyway, I was really happy to see. It was fun to watch Buddy go off. I mean, he was just. I mean, I think he scored six back to back, hitting 2 threes at one point, and it was just. I mean, he was just lights out. It was just great.
Yeah, it's awesome to watch. At that same corner, right in front of his dad, it was like he hit 3 in a row, and each one was like one step deeper.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's fun to watch that stuff, And Elijah, he had some good plays, some good passes.
He had a monster jam.
He had a monster jam. I liked his alley-oop pass he had there. So Marix, no look behind his head. Pass that he had to Guerriere.
Yep, he had another coast-to-coast run too.
Yep.
So, yeah, doing things, man. It's all about getting the experience and not even so much the confidence as it is just gelling with the team and finding out. There was a lot of time to put in some subs and kind of clear the bench. Got a good probably 4 minutes with all bench players out there. And they looked pretty good. I thought Jesse Edwards looked better with those other guys out there than he does with the starters out there. I mean, I don't know if it has anything to do with anything, but he did okay. Guerriere, he got going, and seemed to be probably the best one on the floor out of all the bench players. I don't think that's a big surprise, but I was a little disappointed in Braswell, man. He was just not good. Maybe it's the seat time. He's not getting out there a lot, and so he's just.
He had a couple steals and he had a couple of rebounds, but he also had the least amount of minutes as far as those reserves go. I mean, Godin and Guerriere, is good to see them get. Guerriere had 24 minutes, Godin had 20, so it's good to see them. That's half the game, over half the game. So it's good to see them get that type of experience in that game play. Jesse Edwards got 14 minutes. Howard Washington got 12 minutes. Braswell got 9. So
that's what I mean by seat time, though. I mean, he's not out there a lot, and it kind of takes being out there and in a game role where you can just, get the feel for it and kind of settle in.
But sadly, when you're in that position,
I know.
That's what the off season's for, right?
Right.
And then when you get into the season, there's a rotation. So then you have practice, and Boeheim, he takes a lot of consideration into what's going on in practice. But at the end of the day, when you're buried on the bench, that seat time that can't be an excuse. You got to get out there and perform if you want those minutes.
You gotta fight for
if you don't, then you're just going to get go right back to the. It's only just going to solidify the reason why he's kept you on the bench previous up to this point, right?
So you got to prove yourself.
I mean, that's
obviously
when you have a deep bench like this, that's what you wait for. When you're sunk in depth and you get an opportunity, you need to take that opportunity. You need to grab that opportunity by the cojones. And
go to Manscaped.com. Make sure
try to earn
clean.
yourself more minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I'm seeing 7 guys. I'm seeing 7. Right? Kinda.
I mean, I think 7 for normal, but I think that you could see up to 9 for emergency situations. I'm not so sure.
I'd like to see 8 regular gameplay. That's what my point is. But who's?
Well, I mean, if Jesse Edwards can get in there, I don't know. As right now goes, he's played he played better against Bucknell than he had previously. So hopefully he's getting the message. And if he can get a little bit better and prove that he can play 10 points or 10 minutes a game for Sidibe or something like that, then he might be able to get to that point. But for right now, I think, especially going into these next 5 games, he's probably going to be like, unless Sidibe's playing awful or gets in quick foul trouble, and we're playing against some height, and we can't just throw Dolce in there,
Yeah, well,
I think because of fouls and because of stuff like that, Jesse Edwards is going to get minutes by default. I just don't think they're going to be like consistent every game minutes. You know what I mean?
Well, this game against Bucknell, we heard Coach at the end of, I don't even remember what the last game was before that. Who was it, Joe? Help me. Cornell. After that game, you heard Coach in the press conference say, if he says he likes playing outside, well, we don't do that here. You're 7 foot, you play inside. Well, he stayed contained inside during Bucknell, and he was better. And he was better. He's just got to learn. He's got to learn to be in that role. He's got to learn. You have to. This is what you need to do to help this team, and this is what you need to learn to help this team. This is how it's going to work.
Yeah.
And get out there and do it. Do your 5-10 minutes a game, and show you can do it. If he performs like that, he's going to get consistent minutes. He just needs to be bigger.
Yeah. That's really the biggest part when it comes to freshmen, because most freshmen were the man on their high school team. Especially when you go to get a D1 scholarship, right?
Sure,
so unless you're like a 5-star guy coming in and the coach is like, hey, this is your team. That Cole Anthony kid from North Carolina. I mean, it looks like they're going to be relying on him very, very heavily. So like his role isn't changing because he's that good. But as far as most other players, when you come in, you're not going to be the man. So you have to figure out what you can do to make your little niche and get a role and find some minutes on that team. And if Jesse Edwards right now as a freshman wants minutes, then he said he's got to do exactly what you said. Protect the rim. Don't get the ball stripped from him. Get rebounds.
Which he's done good protecting the ball.
For the most part, but that's why he got taken out in Cornell, right?
Yeah.
Because he brought the ball down low. Yeah. The guy knocked it out. I mean, he got taken away from a guard.
He's doing some Chuku stuff, yeah.
Right. The ball. So, yeah. So, that's, like you said, he played better. You could see that he came back from those comments.
Yeah.
He learned from whatever Jim Boeheim said. He heard it loud and clear. So I would like to see that 8, of course. But with that and with Howard Washington, I think there's chances in emergency situations that Howard Washington does come in.
Yeah, I think.
But it's going to be limited. I think it's going to be a limited basis.
Goodine's okay, but I honestly thought I'd see more out of him this early in non-conference play because you're going to get
sometimes he looks a little too loose with the ball, a little too fidgety, and that's what I mean by saying I think there might be times when there might most likely early, especially maybe these next 5 games, be some teams with some guards that he's not going to be able to handle, and if Gerard is got foul trouble or needs to take a seat, Howard Washington's that guy that Boeheim knows can come in and bring a calmness to the team and at least get the ball up the floor and run the offense.
Yeah, and Gerard's another guy who is going to be going through, we're going to see, some of his flaws coming up too. I mean, he's going to have to learn to protect the ball too. He got it taken away from him a couple times against Cornell, and he's good with the ball. So it's the learning curve, man. It's jumping from that high school stuff or whatever right into, going to D1 playing,
There's going to be hurdles.
Yeah,
depending on what team you go to and the depth and your role and things like that. I mean, it's how high are those hurdles? So
it's all about
you're going to see some sloppy play every once in a while. So
yeah. All right. Well, hey, look, let's switch gears, Joe. The Syracuse Orange football team saw their bowl hopes squashed after a 56-34 thumping by Louisville. The Orange sit at 4-7, 1-6 in the ACC. Another muff punt by Sean Riley helped the Cardinals jump out to a 21-3 lead at the end of the first quarter. Ultimately, though, the trifecta of quarterback Mikael Cunningham, he had 238 yards and 5 scores. Running back Javion Hawkins, 233 yards on the ground and a score. Wide receiver Tutu Atwell, 1 152 yards receiving. They proved to be too much for the Syracuse defense on the road, I think. Despite the quick answers the Orange offense had for some of the Louisville touchdowns, especially in the second half, the Louisville offense eventually wore down the Orange D. Altogether, the Cards offense racked up 514 yards on the Orange. And how about, though, Jawar Jordan? I mean, where's he been all year? 33 yards rushing, 87 yards receiving, 101 kick return yards. It gave him 223 all-purpose yards. So that's my silver lining, I guess, for that game.
Joe, he was fun to watch.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this game earlier. There was a couple things that were a little... I don't know. There was a couple weird things that happened in this game. So only one game left for Syracuse football after a frustrating season. And here's a question, and I'm just presenting the question. I'm not taking a side. Is it unfair to question DeVito's ability after a year of play without that much improvement? I haven't seen. I'm just being honest here. I haven't seen after 11 games a noticeable improvement.
Well, I think there's reasons for that. And honestly, the whole back and forth and questioning Babers about taking him out, I think it just proves everything, And it goes back. I read an article at Syracuse.com where they brought it back when Scott Schaefer was here, and he had Dungy, and he got hit, and he, instead of taking him out, kept him in, and then he ended up getting hit, and then he got knocked out for the rest of the season. And they were questioning it, and they were saying, why'd you keep him in? Why'd you keep him in? So this is just one of those situations where if he keeps Tommy, he knows Tommy has an injury, and I believe that he's had an injury probably since the Holy Cross game, very, very early, in which it's something that isn't serious, but enough to
just linger.
Not have him 100%, right? And you can heal up for a week or something like that. And I think at some point during the game, something happens, he retweaks it, or there's only so much that it can take, punishment it can take before he can't throw the ball accurately and sometimes and really not really help the team. As far as the last couple of weeks, I mean, if we haven't been able to run the ball, who even knows what we would have been able to do, or because we don't know how limited he is. So again, if we keep him in, if Babers knowingly he knows that he's hurting, he has an injury, and we keep him in, and then he gets hurt, and then he needs some type of major surgery, or he has to miss the next game, or something like that, then the fans would question Babers then and ask him why they didn't take him out. So
right, which is what they did against Holy Cross because we were up so much, and that's when the injury happened. So
right. So again, it's just one of those things where I think we were running so effectively, and I think that he wanted Clayton Welch to come in and run the ball. I don't know what was going on to come in, have that first play where he like kind of one-hopped it like 3 or 4 yards way in front of to come in cold like that and try to make that play. When he came in earlier in the season, when they were switching on and off with DeVito, he came out and he was like a man on a mission, running the ball, and he's tough to take down. And there were so many times where he could have kept that ball off the RPOs because of how successful we were running the ball. And even Tommy, he could have, but again, like I said, I don't know how injured he is and how many hits he can take. So
he definitely did something to his knee too. I know Coach said that
he did something to do with his but what I'm saying is that lingering injury, whatever it is, whether it's oblique or ribs or something in his throwing shoulder or whatever it is, there's something over on that side.
Seems to be ribs, man, right?
He continually retweaks that stuff. There's something over there. And then, like I said, again, I think he did that in the first quarter. And I think in the third quarter or something, he ran the ball. Then he did something to his knee, and you saw him limping around. So I thought we might have been able to do some things if Clayton Welch tried to actually run. I mean, there's a couple times I think he could have ran the ball and made it a little interesting. But, again, I don't want to put it on him, especially at the end of the game. But I think that Tommy DeVito, I think we have seen growth, and I don't think it's growth in the way that people want to see it as far as maybe statistics and winnings and like winning the game, wins. But earlier in the year, he had some issues with turning the ball over and making certain plays. Now, I know there's certain times I think where he still throws the ball away maybe too fast, but he's definitely learning to not get sacked as much and He hasn't thrown an interception in I don't even know how
Yeah,
many
he's on
pass
a,
attempts.
it's like 167, I want to say. He's really on some kind of streak too with that. Like
Right. So I just
national
don't. I don't think. And at the end of the day, even him at 80% or 85% or whatever, he is far and away the best quarterback on our team. We don't have anybody else.
It's
right?
not even close. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's got to take his bumps and his lumps and his bruises, and this is going to be nothing but a learning year for him. He has to get healthy, but all the bad things that a quarterback has to experience to learn how to do the right thing and make fast decisions on whether or not to throw the ball away or tuck and run or whatever. He's learning all those this year. He's getting a crash course.
Yeah, absolutely. What did you think about the 4th and 9 putting Welch in, though? I mean, I know how you feel because we talked about it earlier, but it seemed like, you got one more shot. Okay, so he probably put Clayton Welch in because he was supposed to run the ball or something. Well, I don't even know. I don't know why you just went and sit in the pocket. If you got one more play, you're going to put him out there for one more play. You got 4th and 9. It's the biggest play for Syracuse up to that point, and you throw in the backup quarterback. You can question it now because it didn't work. But it seems like shoulda, woulda, coulda just kept DeVito in, then tried to make a pass on that. There's got to be something dialed up for that. Something quick, inside the 10-yard line to dial up.
Right. Again, like I said, it's so hard to, in the hindsight of everything, but we don't know how hurt DeVito was. We don't even know if at that point he could have thrown a pass. I just don't. And I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just saying that for some reason, Dino Babers did that. And it wasn't because he wasn't trying to win the game, and it wasn't because he wanted to give Clayton Welch some burn in his last year because he's a senior.
No, definitely not.
It was nothing like that. And
obviously, he knows more than we do.
Exactly, and that's my whole point is that if he's going to, and to be perfectly honest with you, Tommy DeVito didn't look like he was really complaining about it. He wasn't arguing to get back in the game.
No, he wasn't. They had actually talked. They had talked. I think it was maybe at the beginning of the second half or something like that, or right before the halftime.
Right.
Where the three of them, Welch, DeVito, and Babers, had talked about, hey, we might need you to come in, basically talking to Welch. So we just have to bring it up because it was a head scratching moment at the time.
Yeah, no, I understand. I completely get it. It's one of those things where you got to look at the bigger picture. This was, all intents and purposes, this was Babers' guy. Elite 11 guy, and I'm sure that Babers had a plan, and he thought that this is going to be the guy that got him to the point where, probably where we were last year because it was a Dungy senior year. But I bet you in his vision, it wasn't his redshirt sophomore year, first year starting with an injury all season and problems with the line and having to fire your defensive coordinator in the middle. It's just it's all. I guarantee you that they both had communicated that, and that even Babers and even DeVito knew that at some point there was a certain threshold that if he took too much punishment, then Babers is going to take him out. And again, he's the coach, and I'm going to trust the fact that he knows his guy and he was protecting his guy from any further damage or injury.
Yeah. Well.
What?
All right. Well, no, there was a quick score. Syracuse lines up to kick the ball. They go for an onside kick.
I called that too.
Look, did you? Did you?
My dad was like, he's like, what, you already watched this? He's like, you knew that they were going to do that. I'm like, what? He's like, how would you guess that? And I was just like, well, Hoffrichter got a concussion. This new guy came out and he kicked it out of bounds.
Yeah.
We can't stop him anyway, so why not?
Yeah, why not give it a shot?
And then all of a sudden,
it seemed like the perfect time. It seemed like the perfect time. So to me, if anything, it was touched, maybe a half a yard shy of 10. At 9.5 yards, it gets touched. And so they review the play, Joe, and they come back out of the review and they throw a penalty on Syracuse for blocking before anyone touched the ball, I guess. I don't know. To me, the people that are getting the ball kicked to them are the ones blocking. But I guess it was maybe too early or something, and they throw a penalty. So they review whether the ball goes 10 yards, but then they throw a penalty. It just doesn't make any sense to me that if you're reviewing how far the ball went, you come out of the whole thing with a penalty, and not the penalty for touching the ball early, but a penalty for illegal blocking.
Right.
It is so stupid. Is that? I mean, you call me an idiot, but I had no idea. I was so confused. I'm like, why are they doing that?
Yeah, I don't understand it either because there's only certain things there's the targeting ones, right? Like if they call it targeting and then they actually review it and they see like they can take it away.
Right.
So we've seen
if they're reviewing the penalty.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, the penalty. So it's just interesting to me because that would be like, oh, let us replay this touchdown, and then you go back and you see, oh,
holding.
Crap,
Take
we
it
missed
back.
the hold.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you come back and you say holding. So yeah, like I said, I mean, we don't. And speaking of holding, I don't even remember a time this year in the ACC that another team has been called holding against us. So I mean, I know I saw a couple last night, and
while they were on offense.
Feel sometimes, and what was it? The one game with what was it Pittsburgh or I forget the game now. Was it Pittsburgh where they called the fumble and then they overturned it when they didn't even have any type of.
Oh my gosh! Yes, what game was that?
Yeah. I think it was Pittsburgh because I think we were mad about it because we actually had a chance to come back and win that game. Yeah. So like at the end of the day, it's all those little things, and you don't want to make excuses. And I hate making excuses, especially the refs. But
it's a gripe. It's a gripe. It's not an excuse. We were going to lose the game. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Right. Well, and again, too, this just shows the glaring. There was some.
The ACC refs have been like even basketball and football. Like we always get the short end of the stick with these guys. It seems like, it feels like to me, like it's.
I mean, there's sometimes we get calls, right?
Sure.
There's
sometimes. Yeah.
But it's just to me, it's like I get the one-offs here and there, the holding, this is that. Okay, I get that, but like these ones where all of a sudden you're coming up with you didn't even throw a penalty flag, and all of a sudden you're going to show a replay, and then you're going to call a penalty.
It's so stupid. I don't even know. I don't even understand that. I've never seen that
or the
before.
one they the one they overturned in Pittsburgh, where you literally had no
evidence
view of the ball. You called the fumble and you overturned it.
Like, and actually,
that kind of stuff.
That
we
was
don't get
Pittsburgh.
Those kind of calls
because you remember there's another angle of that showed the ball was clearly out.
Yep.
That the public never got to see. Something.
Yep.
It was something to that effect. You remember?
Right.
I think it was. I think it was CuseNation.com. Mike McAllister had something on that, and that he had actually seen it. But, anyways, no one got to see it. So,
and I think overall, I think we have seen at least the last 2 weeks too. Once they made that offensive line change, it's looked like our offensive line.
I
mean,
it's
they've been improving, and I think that
DeVito only got sacked twice last night, which is good.
Only once
the game before,
right?
Yep.
Yeah, and we had 261 rushing yards. So again, I mean, we have had problems with
the rushing game has been not great.
Right. So we've had problems with that, right? And then there were some articles out and stuff where we've had problems with teams that run that 12 personnel, the two tight ends, the one running back, which they ran there for a little while. I mean, their running back had 233 yards for 23 carries. He averaged over 10 yards a carry. Some of that was obviously attributed to bad tackling, but
sure,
that's for another conversation. But we've had problems playing against those teams, the teams that have mainly ran that formation, that offensive package against us this year was Maryland, Boston College, and this team. And all of them, I think, put up over 50. So that's just, So I think the one thing we learned is that our defensive coordinator is not on this coaching staff right now for next year because you're not really seeing too much. I mean, last week could have been a difference as far as I think a lot of it was what they said, what Babers said at the post-game, press conferences that Duke didn't know what we were going to do. And now Louisville had a week to do it, and you saw what they did. So they tore us apart as much as we had chances to be in that game. The muffed punt, like we talked about, the interception that our two defensive backs wanted to run into each other to try to catch.
Yeah.
I mean, in the first quarter, that allowed them to get two. They scored a touchdown after those mistakes. If we even if we don't get points off of that, but we at least get the ball and then take a little drive or this or that, it's not going to be 21-3 in the first quarter. And after that, basically, we played them even. They were only +4 second, third, and fourth quarter after the first quarter. So, I And that is with, obviously, like I said, not taking advantage of that stuff in the first quarter, but that's where that came. But also in the fourth quarter, not taking advantage of that interception and not taking advantage of that amazing
Run back.
catch and run by Jawar Jordan. I don't care what anybody says. When you saw Clayton Welch catch that snap and then turn, and then you saw the throw, and then you saw him catch it, weren't you like, oh,
It's like, it was like he's gonna get smothered.
It would look like it was about to be awful, and then he turned it into a ridiculous run, which obviously in hindsight, you always want to score, but I thought we were going to score. Like up 3-yard line, no problem.
Yeah, you got to be able to punch it in 3 plays.
False start, and I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah.
So
yep, and those are the little things too. I mean,
and those the little things. The penalties started to add up. So
the game wasn't out of reach there either. And by the way, talk about rushing yards against Maryland. They allowed 354, 496 against Boston College, and 370 against Louisville.
Right, and that's you. So what they talked about was they ran the 12. The 12 formation, like I said, 2 tight ends, 1 running back, and they try to ground and pound you. I said this in the beginning of the year that I thought we were going to have issues with teams that did that. And again, that's like having 7 linemen out there, and they just line up and they run it down our throats. And we don't have those guys, the Chris Slaytons and the Rhinos and the people in there that like Babers always likes to talk about, the elephants, and we didn't have that on our defensive line this year. So we had some speed and on the edge to try to get to some quarterbacks and stuff like that. But when someone is just running right at you with 7 offensive linemen ground and pound, then that takes that all away. And
we haven't been able to get to the quarterback like we did last year. But to wrap it up, let's, looking ahead, here's my thing. We're heading to home. We're going to play Wake Forest. Wake Forest is a good team. It's a really good team.
They're starting to get hurt a little bit. I think since they've lost a couple games, then they've had some injuries. They've kind of struggled. They struggled with Duke the other night.
They did struggle with Duke, but the weather wasn't great either, so I don't know.
Well, no, the weather wasn't great, but I mean, Duke, they had 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns. And,
they didn't score a lot on offense,
Right, but again, Wake Forest is a team that's going to obviously Clausen's a smart coach. They got a dual threat quarterback. They have one of the better receivers in the ACC, and they got some running backs. They're going to line up, and they're probably going to try to ground and pound us just like these last couple teams have. So it's definitely going to be a test for sure. I just hope that the fans can still. I mean, it's last week, senior night. Go out there, or senior day, so to speak. Just go out there and. Yeah, we'll get into that, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into that, but Cade Carney is that one running back's name for Wake Forest, who is an absolute animal.
Yeah, I know.
We'll get into that, but looking ahead, this is what I would like. This is just what I want. Not to finish 4-8. That's it. 3 4-8 seasons. Gosh, man, it's just like that number has been haunting us, and it's just brutal. So I don't know, but we will. Well, I guess we're going to be back tomorrow with that.
Yeah.
Right? Is that the plan?
Yeah, that's the plan, man.
We never announced. We haven't been announcing our plans, and we've been on schedule. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see what happens now. But all right, let's do some fan feedback.
Yes, sir.
It's time to hear from you, the loudmouths from the Loud House.
All right, y'all know what to do. Go to social media after the game, if you're not already on there, and you look for our post. It'll say thoughts on the game. You give your thoughts on the game. It's been a little touch and go here lately with thoughts on the game with the 2 games going on the weekends. But give your thoughts, and if it's worthy of bringing up, we'll talk about it here. We're going to get into all that, of course. But first, I want to tell you about the folks over at Blue Chew. So Blue Chew, it's blue like the color, BLUE Chew.com. If you want to increase your performance and get extra confidence in bed, just listen up. Listen here. Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know it works. You can take them anytime, day or night, on a full or empty stomach, and since they're chewable, They work up to twice as fast as a pill, so you can be ready whenever the opportunity arises. If you could benefit from extra function and more confidence when it counts, Blue Chew is the fast and easy way to enhance your performance. Blue Chew is prescribed online and shipped straight to your door in a discreet package, so no in-person doctor's visits, no waiting at the pharmacy, and best of all, no awkwardness. They're made in the USA, and since Blue Chew prepares and ships direct, they're cheaper than a pharmacy. And right now, we've got a special offer for our listeners. And listen, there's a lot of these out there. There's a bunch of them. I'm hearing commercials all the time for these things. And, the market is thick. But this is what we've got. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first shipment free when you use a special promo code Armchair. Just pay the $5 shipping. Again, that's Blue Chew, BLUE Chew.com. Use the promo code Armchair. Try it for free. $5 shipping. Blue Chew is better, cheaper, faster choice, and we thank them for sponsoring Armchair Media and this podcast. They do not promise guaranteed results, and nowhere on their packaging does it say it cures disease. So, anyway, thank you to them. And let's see here, Joe. Let's see. I'm trying to mix it up. We're going to start with, let's start with basketball. So basketball was the first game. It's the first one we talked about. Let's start with basketball.
We can do that.
Okay. At Cranston _NYG. I'm loving how our offense is looking. Our defense is even better. And what they were that game. I think the defense is good. Obviously, it's what the whole scheme is derived around, is the defense. So we haven't played a team that's really, really good at shooting yet, though. So but the best ball movement we saw, I guess, was probably Virginia. So it's when you get those teams that can really move the ball good, and that's when you get the zone to collapse, and they end up chasing the ball like cats. So at Cuse Mafia, starters were excellent, best passing I've seen in years. Joe, the ball movement is great, right? We talked about the assist percentage is it's over 65%. Assists on scoring so far this year. That's 10th in the country. That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that defense, man, I'll tell you. Gerard up there, Buddy Boeheim, you can tell he's worked a little bit with his lateral quickness and stuff. And Gerard, he sits there and kind of waits and tries to bait people, especially the big guys that get in the free throw line. I think he's going to get a lot of steals there. So
Jeff on Facebook says, whoever has helped improve Barama Sidibe should be commended. His footwork is much improved. Yeah, I wonder how much of it has to do with him just not being in pain.
Yeah, that's the age-old question, right?
Yeah, is he playing like this because he actually feels good? Because obviously, if you feel good, you can move good, and he's definitely improved, but he hasn't been challenged by a big body yet, though, either.
Right. Well, hey, like I said, if you ask Lance G, he's always been good.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm about
just
that.
saying.
I don't know about that, but he has been in pain. He has been for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been bad.
It's not as painful to watch him shoot free throws as it was Chuku either. So.
Oh, absolutely not. I know. Poor Chuku, man. Old stone hands. Still not living it down. Still talking about Chuku. Goodness gracious. I love that guy. At Lewis Marshall 24, I can't help but smile when JG3 has the ball. Going to be a fun 4 years, and with Buddy for 3 of them. I love Tyus, but ISO ball hurt us. Yeah, it's a total different look. It opens up a lot more things. We got more shooters on the floor.
Right.
When these guys get going, when this team gets fluid and they're rolling, and you've got a leader on the floor, we're gonna see, what kind of difference I think they can make out there.
Yeah.
With those 3 guys,
funny,
especially
because Buddy and Joe, they played AAU together, and it's almost like you can tell, right? It almost looks like Joe knows exactly what he wants. I mean, that one 3-pointer he had, right, where Joe passed it to the right, to Buddy. Buddy passed it back, faked like he was cutting, and then came back off of a screen and just boom, . So I mean, when you know how
your teammates are going to
when
play.
you know how your teammates are going to play and they know how you're going to, get them the
React.
ball and everything, you're on that type of page. That's continuity that not every team has, obviously. We haven't seen it. You can have great players like we've had good players. We've had fringe NBA players, but if you're not going to play or look like you even enjoy playing basketball together, I mean, these guys genuinely look like they enjoy playing basketball together.
They're so the passing is so unselfish. It's almost like they're looking for an assist, almost as much as they're looking for a clean shot.
Right.
And especially, Dolezaj's always done it, and we've only really had that one player that was really always looking. He's always looking for the backdoor cut. He has great court vision. Mark does. He's got a pretty high basketball IQ. Mark does. He knows what's going on. And you get a couple more of those guys on the court, and especially offensively, because that's where we've struggled. I mean, it's going to make a huge difference.
Well, there's not as much standing around this year either on offense.
It's not lazy at all. And they're not running down the clock, man. They're, I like it. I like the early shots in the shot clock, but as long as they're good. Not like last year, we're just hucking stuff up like Brissett from behind the arc and stuff like that, Right. But anyway, at Oil Cuse, good game. Hopefully Edwards isn't on the Mark meal plan and puts on some weight. Edwards has a great touch around the rim. Yeah, we mentioned it earlier, and he's going to be a player I think probably next year could be either him or Goodine could be most improved next year. But I think you look at those two. And you see the potential there, but they just haven't really put it together yet. And, the more time they get and the more practice they get and the more experience under their belts, and, we'll see what happens.
But, I mean, at the end of the day, that kind of stuff is like a want. Like, you have to want to do that, Like, when he says, I like playing on the outside, or I used to playing on the outside or stuff like that. Yeah, you can't have that as a big man. Especially in college basketball, ACC, it's physical down there. You're going to have big bodies, and they're going to try to move you around. And if you're not about that, you're not about that life.
You got to do it. That's your role, man. That is your role.
Right.
You've got to be physical. It's the most physical spot on the court. And you got to either get in the mix or
and you get some 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" big boys in there that throw their bodies around, and there's some times when I saw Chuku take some falls where I'm like, or take some. So, remember Mark took a charge from Zion last year.
Yes,
you got to be willing to do those kind of things. You got to. And if you're not about that, then it's going to be.
That's heart right there.
It's going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty evident.
You could either say that's stupidity or heart. It was all heart with Mark.
Well, that's what it is. It's heart, and you got to learn how to use your body to get the job done.
Yeah. Mike on Facebook, I think we're on to football now. Missed opportunities, yes. Missed opportunities again and again and again. Stupid penalties and no defense. Yep, you look at the game against Duke, and we keep them out of the end zone. And everything looks great. The offense was clicking. We're playing at Duke. It looked good. Duke is not, they're not Louisville, but the missed opportunities, Joe, we went over them, and it's just like, that's agonizing when you get down there like that. 2 times in the red zone, and you can't do anything with it because you got 2 false starts. What was it? 2 false starts and a hold or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That stuff at the end hurt 100%, and the stuff in the first quarter to get down to a 21-3 margin early, that hurt even more. So, honestly, if you take that little first quarter away, then we pretty much played them even. So, as much as we gave up a lot of yards, gave up a lot of points, we definitely did the same. So, it wasn't as bad a loss as the Maryland or the Boston College one, but
nothing was as bad as Boston College this year, right?
I don't know. Maryland was pretty rough too, especially early with the expectations,
Yeah.
But there was still that Clemson game.
Clemson game wasn't that bad though either.
No, it really wasn't.
The score looks bad, but it was late. Yeah.
Right.
At Kotite Forever. Incredibly disappointing performance by the defense. Offense was clicking until DeVito got hurt. Lots and lots of work to do in terms of rebuilding the defense. Firing Ward was a start, but there are so many more problems to address. Joe.
Yeah. No, he's not lying. 100%.
He's not
You
lying.
got to get. He's not.
No, I know.
I don't know how he's going to address it, but again, the ACC, so it's a different kind of animal because the ACC's got so many different types of offensive schemes and different attacks that come at you. So you can't just be one-dimensional and be able to just stop one certain type. You got to be able to, as he said, evolve. Coach Babers said, evolve with the teams and with the schemes. And when you have a team that's just trying to figure out what they can do well, just for one game, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to just evolve when you're still trying to figure out your identity and you're worried and you're working with certain youth and inexperience in certain areas. So again, I've seen the offense, I think, personally grow. I think I've seen DeVito obviously become a lot better with the turnovers and the things like that. And I think that we've seen the offensive line. I mean, the offensive line, we're returning 4 guys, and if Sam Heckel comes back, that'll be a 5th that can come back and he can be a starter on top of the people that will grow. So I mean,
losing some muscle on the defensive end though too.
But we are losing some people on the defense end, and again, I mean, you can't really get too much worse in some of these games. I mean, I'm not trying to say that in a bad way, but like, you know, it's just the pass rushing is neutralized when you're playing against a team like this who's got the RPO, and they were running triple option out of that crazy formation, and I don't think really a lot of people didn't know what to do. And if you're not making the tackles up front, then the safeties, they got to come up and fill, and they had guys that were faster than our guys. So as you saw in that Tutu Atwell, there's a couple of touchdowns that he had.
Guys are lightning quick, man.
Yeah. So again, when you're playing against that type of team, and you need to bring so many guys up into the box to be able to stop that run, then you're eventually going to give up big plays. And we talked about it. We knew that the big plays were going to come, but we had big plays for ourselves. And like I said, I was really proud of the way our offense came out and kind of kept with them as far as keeping us in striking distance throughout the game.
Some quick scores, man. Some real quick scores in the second half.
Yeah. There was two, I think, in the third quarter that were, I think, both under a minute or somewhere close like that. So.
One was like, I want to say it was like 30 seconds or somewhere around there. It was quick. It was 2 plays. It was the one where Mo Neal ran for 45 yards for a score. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
At Kyle. Kyle. Just call him Kyle on Twitter. Really disappointed in the offensive play calling. How many times can we run on first down? The defense gave them a chance at the end, but our pitiful red zone offense and the lack of touchdowns to finish a game sealed our fate. I hope they play hard for the seniors next weekend. So you got two fan feedbacks. One's blaming the offense, one's blaming the defense. So imagine that, right? So
no, I mean, I can understand some of the play calling, but we were kind of going with what was working. And again, we don't know if we were limited in our play calling based upon DeVito's.
Well, there were some situations where, and then Joe, if that's the case, there are situations where you're putting Tommy DeVito in a 3rd and long situation. You know, constantly running on 1st and 2nd down. There was a bunch of those where, you know, he's got to pick up 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and you know, I mean, what are you going to do? Run all 3 times?
And he picked up on some of them, right?
He did, yeah. He ran
a couple,
one, yeah.
He hit Taj Harris a couple times on the sideline. So, and again, like our running game, we're going to be returning 4 of those offensive linemen. So, you know, it's just you can see the growth of that unit as the season goes on, and it kind of gives you a little bit of a hope going into the next year, and hope that we're not going to have to worry about the offensive line starting out as kind of as inadequate as they were this year when you're looking into next year. So when you get to that point as a fan, that's what you want to look at, right? So
yeah.
And when you look at it too, I mean, I hope that they do play hard for seniors. I know Evan Adams plays with some heart, and really realistically on offense, I think we're only looking at Mo Neal and Evan Adams are really the only seniors offensively that, so, you know, there might be a big dose of Mo Neal, and I'd look for them to probably, you know, get back to the running game like they had the last 2 games. But I think the one main thing to look at is probably there's a lot of seniors on the defensive end. So maybe this is one of those hurrah moments where Standard can go in there and be like, look, this is going to be my last game, you know, as defensive coordinator for this team too. And this is going to be your last game as far as at Syracuse seniors. Let's go out there and ball out and try to get this W. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
hopefully that kind of motivation, because we have, I want to say we have 4 or 5 defensive linemen that are seniors, and the 2 linebackers are on top of Cordy and Evan Foster and Chris Frederick. We have a lot of defensive players that are seniors.
Yeah.
So, and that's, again,
A lot of starters.
right. And that's opposite of kind of what we were looking into in the beginning of the season, right? Oh, defense was our strength of,
Right.
of the unit, this, and that. So, now you see our defensive coordinator get fired. You see us put up, allow the points in the rushing yards and stuff. And then you look at our roster and see that we're losing like 7-8 starters on defense.
Yep.
So, so you look at our situation as like, could it get any worse? And
The answer might be yes.
don't know the answer to that yet.
The answer might be yes. Well, here we go. At Cuse Orange Fan. This is the last one. At Cuse Orange Fan on Twitter. I don't know how you bag that Twitter handle, but you did. Good job. At Cuse Orange Fan. We have some many great athletes that aren't utilized properly. With a new D coordinator next year and hopefully new offensive coordinator, this is a team that can win 7 to 8 games. I still believe in Dino. So, with that said, 7-8 games. Well, look, here's the thing. At this point, it's almost anything is an improvement from this year, right? So right, as opposed to this year, next year, our expectations heading in should be relatively tampered, right? So,
right. Oh, yeah.
we
100%.
we can look at this and be like, all right, well, let's just kind of see what happens. Kind of like how it was really easy to do that with the basketball team this year. We don't really know. Let's see what's going to happen. You said, there'd be 7 or 8, newer faces starting on defense next year. And, maybe I foresee a situation where maybe the offense is clicking and the defense is really struggling. And it's
right.
the offense that's got to keep us in the games. And where, a lot of times this year it was the defense keeping us
That's
in
the thing, is every year is different, right?
Right, exactly.
And it takes the years to, when you look at the timeline of Dino Babers, and again, it goes back to me and preaching the patience of allowing somebody to actually build something up, right? Like right now, as it is, Dino Babers, he got hired December 5th of 2015 with the 2016 class to be finished February 6th. So he had 2 months to come in and figure out, okay, who's committed? Do I want to keep them? Do I want to drop them? Who can I get that's left with the 2 months? So his first year was mostly pretty much picked by Schaefer and his staff as far as the people he had. And then he had 2 months to try to get who he could have. So realistically, Dino Babers, his first full class was Tommy DeVito's class. The one of him, Chris Elmore. So his class, his guys, his main people are either true juniors or redshirt sophomores this year. So again, when people want to say, oh, they're his guys, they're his or that, like he's still dealing with some Schaefer holdovers, and obviously he's still dealing with some of the coordinators in the evolution of teams getting used to what they're running since they've been in the ACC now for this is going to be the 4th year. So that kind of happens. You can't stay the same, because if you're going to feed these teams the same meal 3-4 years in a row, they're eventually going to know what that meal is. So you got to figure that out, and you got to change it up and evolve. And I just don't think that our coordinators did.
Yeah, and we're talking 4 years. Coach, this is why it's really tough when you hear people calling for Dino Babers to be fired. What do you want him to do? He's just now really starting to have his program turn over.
Right.
And, there's a lot of guys left from Schaefer, and, it's not fair. A coach needs probably to be fair, to be really fair at this level, with this level of recruiting that we have in a private school like Syracuse. You need about 6 years.
Yeah, I'd say 5-6 years is legit. And again, like you said, you have to look at the certain things. Again, like we don't have, blue chips in our backyard. It's not the same case with basketball and stuff like that. So it takes a little longer as far as that goes. And again, we can't treat this like a Willie Taggart Florida State issue, those guys, they get top 25 recruiting classes. You know, if we've been getting top 20, 25 recruiting classes for 10 years straight, and Babers comes out and throws out 2 4-8 seasons in a row, then I understand, because you have the talent.
Right.
But now Babers, he's kind of changed the culture, and they had a successful year, you know. But I mean, again, that was Eric Dungy as a senior. What was Eric Dungy's record as a redshirt sophomore? Do you know?
I don't.
It was 4-8.
Oh, okay.
So again, you know, it's one of those things where it's kind of cyclical, and that's what happens. So to be fair,
it's almost predictable.
So to be fair, so like, give DeVito that same respect and Babers the same respect. Allow him to get his depth through there for a whole cycle, to where he's actually got a full recruiting class that actually went through and graduated and saw their whole 4 or 5 year outlook of what they did. And the way I realistically look at it is looking at the team on what it is when, by the time Tommy DeVito is a senior and moves on, and usually by that time, that's 5 years, about 4 or 5 years, where you should be able to grow that depth to where you should be able to have guys to come in and actually replace those guys, so that you can have a team that's like a bowl every single year.
Yeah.
Everything happened for us right last year. Every single thing. If everything happened right for us this year, we would have beat Pittsburgh, we would have beat North Carolina State, and we would have beat Boston College, or not Boston College, and we would have beat Louisville, and our record right now would be what? 7-3.
Yeah, but
or
no,
7-4.
But
right.
Yeah. Well, if ifs and buts for Kenny, not to all Americans.
No, but I'm just kind of putting that into, like, we didn't go 10-3 because we were that much better than everybody last year.
No, we got
because
a lot
all
of
the
breaks
little
last
things
year.
happened and everything went. So all I'm saying is, comparing it to last year, if everything would have happened like that, we would be 7-4 right now, looking at possibly going 8-4.
Yeah.
And right now, that's close to being just close up there near the second best
team in the ACC. And using last year's formula, we would be 8-4. Just for record, if you use last year's formula, right? Wake Forest, another team is pretty good, but those are the ones we won. Those are the ones we won. The teams that were, maybe a touch better, where everything just went right for us.
Right.
And,
well, I'm not bringing them up only because I haven't seen the game yet. Like, I look at a game like Boston College or Maryland, and I know anything could have went right in those games. So
yeah, I know. All right. Well, that's it. We are over our allotted time, Joe.
Sorry, man.
There's
a lot, dude.
I know, it was a ton.
Games, we had some fan feedback. We can't
thing.
sort the fan feedback just because we got 2 games to talk about.
I know, but here's the thing: is I came into this show saying, okay, we're going to do the pregame for Oklahoma State.
I told you.
So, yeah, you're right.
Work.
You're right. So, anyways, we will be back with the pregame for Oklahoma State.
Pregame for that tournament.
For the tournament, right? But we'll do Oklahoma State. But then we'll do the 2 team. We'll fly.
We'll
do
give
a
you a
touch
little
and
bit
go.
of information about that stuff. Since
the other 2 teams, and then hopefully Wake. So it's packed. It's packed. The last football pregame is coming at you.
It's the last double dip episode.
Maybe
not. Post game. Yeah, that's right.
Yep. All right. Look, I want to thank manscaped.com. Go there, enter the promo code armchair, get 20% off and free shipping, and bluechew.com. Go there, enter the promo code armchair, and pay $5 shipping and get, I think it's 6 pills for free. Try them out. Thank you, Armchair Media. Thank you to James on guitar. Thank you to all of you for listening. We really appreciate you listening and spreading the word and joining in on fan feedback. So that is it. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Thanks for listening to the Cuse Militia Podcast, the fan's voice with Sean and Joe.